Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. Welcome to today's upload, and do I have one heck of a terrifying and informative upload to share with you today. Briefly, thank you, everyone, for sending me well wishes. About 10 days ago, I got hit with COVID, and it really just took its toll on me completely. Fever's finally broke, and I am feeling about 85 to 90% back to normal, so thank you. Before we get into today's upload, though, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below, merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They all were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost you a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because these things really do help this channel to continue to grow and go. And yes, folks, they definitely are appreciated and do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump into today's upload, shall we? Hey folks, today's upload is going to be about an area or a state that has numerous attacks, numerous subscriber submitted accounts, and a lot of government cover-ups. Now, I don't like using the word hotspot. This channel is 7 years old, and I've been researching since 1994, probably really deep dive researching for 15 years. And then just going off on little things that I find interesting. I'll deep dive into those periodically. Tennessee. For me, Tennessee is a state like Virginia, like West Virginia, that Appalachia region, that really just has a whole heck of a lot of attacks, subscriber submitted experiences, and government cover-ups. The government of Tennessee, state government, loves to manipulate the media in their favor. I really don't believe they have the public's best interest at heart. Now, I've had a subscriber, a park ranger, or someone that works for the park, not a ranger, reach out of the Cherokee National Forest, sharing a horrific experience out of that area. That was a cover-up. There was a real, honest-to-goodness cover-up going on there. Tony Aaron's Amber Miller, Cott County, Tennessee, cover-up. There was another young lady. I don't have my folder with me, but there was another young woman who was attacked in Tennessee as well by a dogman. They blamed her German Shepherd, yet there were people that were right on the location that said the dog didn't do it. There was a large creature that came out of those woods right there that attacked her. It stood bipedal, but it did attack her as a quadruped. So yeah, Tennessee to me is right there. I think it's, for some reason, Virginia, Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky, parts of Kentucky, but all have this real kind of multiple attacks, multiple sightings. And if what Victor said was 100%, with the Dogman / werewolf breeding program, deep underground military base being in Virginia, why wouldn't Tennessee not be kind of a hot spot for these creatures? So let's get into it. I just shared a little bit of information about the government cover-ups, Tony Aarons, Amber Miller, obviously, Jimtown Road, Cott County, Tennessee, both torn apart 2 months, April to July. There was a time period from beginning of April to the end of July. Tony Aarons first, Amber Miller second. 500 feet apart, these two folks were attacked. Government used a very poor colored man as their scapegoat. And because why? Well, he had a criminal record. Yet how would he tear apart the man and woman? Two different, it makes no sense. It was just a big BS so people could eat their cereal and drink their coffee in the morning and feel safe, knowing that, this gentleman is in jail for a 1/4 ounce of weed and not even charged for the attacks, but he's our culprit. And then the Chilhowee forest area where a mother and the daughter were the daughter was savagely attacked and killed. Mother and son savagely attacked, but did survive. So let's get into some subscriber submitted experiences. That was a tongue twister. Say that 10 times fast. Some subscriber submitted experiences. Then we'll talk a little bit about the government lies. All right, folks. Today's first experience out of Tennessee is a subscriber that sent me this experience 5 years ago. I didn't have the ability to do interviews, so I narrated his experience. About 2 months later, he went on another show, shared his experience in an interview, and then I had the ability to do interviews after that. A couple months later, he came back to the channel after I had narrated this like 4 or 5 months and shared this experience with us again, and then a couple of other things that happened in the New River region of Tennessee. So let's get into this. I'm an avid hunter. My name is Bo. I've hunted and fished all of my life. I joined the Army straight out of high school and now work 6 days a week, but enough about me. Y'all want to know what true nightmares are made of? I found out one October hunting season in New River. I had gotten up early that morning, cooked breakfast for my fiance. She loves fried eggs in the morning, and I do them exactly as she likes them, so we eat. I get my camo out of the bag from under the bed and my rifle out of the cabinet. We head out. I took my fiance TJ to work that morning. Her work is on the way to New River. When we pull in, I give her a kiss. She tells me to bring something nice back home for her, and I said I will, meaning deer. I get back in my jacked up Chevy 2500. The trip to the mountain, as always, was gorgeous. The Tennessee back roads are amazing and beautiful. So I get to my stand. It is eerily quiet that morning. At around noon, I decide to get back to the truck and grab a sandwich and a bottle of water. I eat the peanut butter and syrup sandwich TJ made me while I was getting ready. Heck, she even had time to write a note basically saying that she loved me and she was happy that we were together and happy that in a month she'd be having our little girl. And she was just being an amazing fiance. I decide to walk back to the stand. On the way back through the woods, I start getting this feeling of dread. Something is wrong. But I just brush it off, thinking it's nerves, since it's hog country. I've been chased down the road that I'm on before, but it keeps getting worse. I start getting deeper down the ridge, closer to my stand, and I hear twigs snapping and breaking. I stop. Being an experienced hunter, I notice movement in the thicket maybe 50 yards away. I notice this brown moving towards me, so I crouch down, ready my rifle, and train my rifle on the color. This thing is grunting, so I'm thinking, yeah, it's a big buck. God, was I wrong. The thing slowly walks out closer and closer, and I realize, wow, creature's massive. So I realize that it's way bigger than a deer on all fours. So I think, okay, an elk walking out? Cool. Sight to see, but I notice its head and shape is wrong. Slowly walking out, of a sudden it stops and stands up. I mean on two legs, and it's easily over 8 feet tall. I'm 6'6", and the thicket is just above my head, and this thing's a foot to almost 2 feet above it. It starts sniffing the air, and its head snaps right into my direction. I freeze up at that moment, feeling like I'm in concrete, like I'm concreted to the ground. The wolf creature begins letting out this real deep, almost demonic growl. It starts snarling and showing its teeth toward me. Being army trained, I realize if it charges, I'm getting one shot at this thing, so I'd have to make it count. All of a sudden, it begins to tear through the brush on all fours again, and I realize the movie Van Helsing's werewolf creature charging me at full speed. I'm in trouble. I hear this branch break behind me, and I look over my shoulder and see that there is a second, larger, darker wolf creature behind me on two legs. This one's easily 9 feet tall and is built like a bodybuilder with jet black fur. It drops to all fours and starts running at full speed towards me as well, but this one's a lot closer. I spin around, see that it is too fast for me to unsafely shoot my rifle. I jump out of the way of this monstrous beast charging. I hit the hard rocks and slid into the red clay mud, just to realize, the extra road bed I had been walking on, the two wolves are set for collision. When the bigger black wolf hits the lighter brown one, he tackles the brown creature to the ground as they are rolling down the hill, clawing and biting and slamming into each other into the hard ground. The smaller brown wolf kicks and paws from the bottom. When it back claws rip the larger wolf's stomach wide open and throws him off of him onto its back. The brown wolf turns to me, snarls, and starts charging again full speed. I am awestruck by the power of this creature and the sheer size as it is on its way towards me. But the big black creature slams the brown one from behind, running its arms through the brown one's side, picking it up, and clamps its massive jaws on its shoulders as it throws the brown one down away from me. It lands and rolls about 10 yards and jumps, running away back through the brush. I let some breath I didn't realize I was holding at the moment. I look at the now bloody and beaten, laid open black wolf, which is standing with blood dripping off of its black claws, glistening white teeth dripping with blood of the brown wolf creature. And for some reason it registers to me that I have to show it that I mean no threat to the Kong of the mountain. I lower my rifle away from it. As I do this, the thing smirks at me, lets out this ear-shattering roar, and turns to howl. As it looks into my soul, I see the eyes of this beast. I can understand that it was there to show it was the alpha, and as long as I show it respect, he will not be a threat. It turns and drops to all fours and runs after the other one. I instantly take off running, and I can run after the army. Me being in great shape, I take off up the ridge and make it to my truck. I stop soon as I get to the door and realize there is blood all over the side of my truck. I hesitate to look, but I had to know. I flip the rifle up, safety off, ready to blast anything that jumps out from the bed of the truck, and realize there is a big doe lying in the bed of my truck, neck broke. I jump in and start the truck, spin it around, throwing gravel and 2 rooster tails. I'm tearing ass out of the woods. I fly all the way down the mountain through the back roads, and I do not stop till I reach the diner TJ works at. She can tell I'm shaken up, so she takes me home. I tell her everything. We decide to tell everyone that I hit a doe with my truck and got spooked by it, because who would believe me, right? Till I got to hearing other people who have seen these massive creatures as well. I thought this would be the best way for me to get my story off my chest and not get told that I'm crazy or lying. I just want to warn every hunter and hiker around that we are not at the top of the food chain, and the king of these mountains is truly massive beasts who have no predators. All right, so that first experience was the one that I narrated about 5 years ago, and the one that he shared on my channel and another channel. But like I said, he came back, stayed here, and shared all the rest of his experiences that all occurred in New River. He ended up having a cabin out in New River, and shortly after these next experiences, a mysterious air conditioning fire burnt his cabin down. Crazy enough, the government was there on the scene, like they always are. So this is Bo's next experience. Bo again, I just wanted to say that I have 2 other experiences to share with you. Bigfoot encounters. TJ and me had seen that Wolfman again as well. We've been going hunting in New River again. We've seen a family of Bigfoot for 3 or 4 years now. They've never been aggressive or anything like that. They show respect and are curious creatures, though. There's 4 Bigfoot in the area. The big male is jet black and maybe 9 to 10 feet tall. He looks like a jacked hair man. The second largest is a female, about 8 foot tall, light brown, with black strips down her shoulders and back, and 2 smaller ones are between 6 and 8 feet, both lighter brown. There is a male and 1 female juvenile. The young male is dark brown, with a light brown patch on his chest. The young female is a light golden color, and absolutely gorgeous color. We usually see them all together as a family unit, or the 2 males going out looks as if hunting, possibly because they both have been on deer trails or gravel and dirt roads to cross the area. They all are very curious. They have been known to walk up close within 50 yards or so, whooping and chirping at TJ and I. We have had a blast seeing them and getting used to them being in our area. We had built a cabin down in the holler of this ridge. The cabin in the woods is set next to the gorgeous place set between the creek branches, but in a way that we can still get our vehicle down there. We started seeing the male first, and I was nervous because it isn't too dark where I see too far from where I saw the 2 dogmen fighting. Shortly thereafter, we got to see the full family. They'd check out the truck or look into the windows at night if we were cooking. For a while, TJ was scared of them. Then she realized they were just curious. It has been amazing to see the young ones playing around in the creek in the summer. The big male lying in the cool mud with the female laid up in the shade, while the 2 youngsters playing and splashing in the mud, throwing mud. Once the young male ran up behind me while I was fixing the tree stand that was sitting in the bed of my truck. He scared me with his loud steps running up behind me and let out this rather strange whoop, almost as if he said boo. As he whooped, I jumped around startled, and the young one was standing there laughing like a fat little feller wood holding his stomach, kind of a backwoods Santa, almost jolly style, laughing. And I said, "You little shit." The big male walked up and grunted toward him. He waved and ran away. TJ had stepped out onto the porch when she heard the sound and wanted to see them some more, since it's been a second time that morning they had been by. She saw me and the big male standing 10 yards away from each other. He dwarfed me. I seen her face, and it showed she was nervous, if not scared. I was a bit shocked to see him up close, to have been close enough to smell his musky aroma. One weekend I noticed he got a new open wound on his chest. It was 4 large claw marks down his chest. We left some fruit that was going bad out for him so he could get it a little easier and heal up, because it showed me he had protected the area this weekend. We went up again, but didn't hear them or see them anywhere. It made me worried something happened to him and the family would be in trouble. So I kept looking for them that Friday night, not seeing them at all. The next morning, TJ got up and made breakfast as we went hunting up the ridge a ways and had a good day together. We have always been side by side. Her love of hunting just made her so much more attractive to me. I honestly am the luckiest man in the world to have her. Saturday evening, we get back down to camp, and we noticed something had been through the leaves all around camp. It gave us a bit of hope that they were okay. We had then gotten ready for supper, started cooking. As the sun started to set in New River, it gets pitch black, dark in a few minutes. TJ stepped out onto the porch to go and grab me a bottle of Jack Daniels out of the truck, and I heard the door open on the truck. In a few minutes, I heard it slam as she came running through the door. I dropped everything and hurried to make sure she was okay. She was standing there saying that she thought our big male neighbor was coming up the creek bed towards us. She decided to turn the camp stone down so we can step outside and watch him approach. So as we are standing there, I light a cigarette and hand it over to TJ, and I light my own. I realize he is walking kind of weird and not sounding good. His normal, strong, crisp-sounding grunts are sounding a bit more deep and raspy. So, of course, I am worried and feeling sorry for the big guy. I take a bag of fruit out of the truck and walk down closer to the creek bed. We creep back up to the creek bank towards camp as the critter is coming closer. Me not knowing, I step into a hole where the young one had grabbed a clump of mud and thrown it and hit the ground. Stepped back. I stood back up quickly, trying not to spook the Bigfoot with my pain groan. TJ turned and helped me back to my feet. As she turned her back from the animal, my heart sank as I saw the deep pitch black wolf man that had won the fight before with the brown one. He starts picking up the pace towards us, and at that moment I jumped to my feet, told TJ to run, that I'd hold it off. Its massive body jumps through the creek, still at an incredible speed. I put myself between the beast and TJ. Life. I couldn't let anything happen to the love of my life. Charging him, yelling this primal roar I never heard. It erupts from the deepest part of my soul, the wolfman breaking out of the water at full sprint. I drew out my knife. That was my granddad's during the Vietnam War. At this moment, knowing that I am going to die, as he would of course certainly destroy me, but I couldn't allow any chance of my fiance getting hurt. I'm just going to try and cut him in the legs and stick my blade at his throat. All of a sudden, there is a roar from the top of the hill. Standing, the older female is roaring and beating her chest as the wolf stops. So do I, to see a new creature trying to enter a fight. TJ stops on a dime, and she is staring at me with tears in her eyes as I realize she has her hunting rifle from our bedroom. The wolf starts to snarl and growl. I realize I'm in trouble, but I can't let him get to her. I was close enough to look at his eyes, the way the amber light glue in the stars, like stars in the night, just struck a chord in my mind. I'm getting into a fighting stance as he swats at me. One slash my blade towards him, missing with the slash. As he misses the second swipe, he then swings and catches me with his massive claw. I didn't get out of the way quick enough from the third swipe, but the fact I caught in the cage in the army definitely helped on speed and agility. Even though he missed, I looked for an opening to take my shot. On impact, I got launched onto my back, knocking every breath out of me. I put my hand on the slash on my chest and ribs. It cut my shirt, cutting like a razor through paper, as well as connecting enough to break them like twigs to check and see if I was able to continue the fight. When my attention goes to his golden eyes again, I see the wolf's jet black fur, making the eyes seem even brighter as the sun's starting to set. But I realize how smart he is, and I know I couldn't give up till my fiancée was safe, because last I seen, she stopped, and now it's fight or flight for me. And in my heart, knowing that she has got to get away to be a mom for our baby daughter, who is just under a year old. I'm trying to get to my feet, and all of a sudden, TJ shoots this werewolf in the chest. Unfortunately, it seemed to barely phase it. TJ comes running up at me, having another gun with her, throwing it to me. We both aim, trying to hold him off of us. We realize the young female and the young male standing across the creek have now started throwing rocks at the Dogman. I started backing up slowly towards TJ and the truck as the big male burst from the thicket and cleared the creek in one jump. The massive male standing between us and the werewolf, it's roared and beating its chest. The wolf creature then stopped running again. The big male Bigfoot and the male werewolf hit into a devastating brawl. The werewolf clawing and slashing at the big male Bigfoot. Proudly standing there, he grabbed the Dogman by its throat and held him back as the two youngsters were pelting him with rocks. The male swings its massive arm down onto the creature's head and hits it in the mark with insane power. But the Dogman and him began punching, clawing, and biting. The Bigfoot male lands another powerful shot on its head, a hammer fist. It drops the creature to its knees as he raises an arm and strikes it again. The Dogman slashes the big male and its legs, dropping the Bigfoot. The Bigfoot collapsed. As the Bigfoot hit its knee, let out a pained bellow. The werewolf began more agile, quickly jumped on top of him. Luckily, the Bigfoot snagged the Dogman, holding him with his left arm on his throat, just off of him. He keeps landing punches and unleashes slashes and swipes. The Dogman unleashes slashes and swipes. I stand again, quickly pull the bolt back and slam it forward to reload my rifle. As I raise it towards the Dogman that is on top of the Bigfoot, it's our time to try to come to the rescue. Hoping that a well-placed shot while he's distracted could either kill him with a headshot or hit him hard enough that the Bigfoot can take advantage of the situation. It takes milliseconds from a well-placed shot or anything. I know that it's going to be bad for the male Bigfoot as I am trying to think of anything to help. I can't stabbing the Dogman in the back because I couldn't be that agile enough. And it's bad enough I'm losing blood and my ribs are broken. But thankfully, The beta Bigfoot, landing right beside the fight, swings a rather large downed tree and smashes the Dogman in the head, flipping it backward. The Dogman is off the male Bigfoot and then quickly gets to his feet, encroaching, almost pouncing. He starts to snarl. The beta swings the log across its stomach and chest, impacts Splinter. The Dogman jumps to all fours and runs a good distance away. He turns and lets out a growl and stands back up. The Dogman thinks better of its fighting a full family of Bigfoot and a hunter. We are all holding our breath as then he falls in pain, whine as he staggered forward, catching himself. Dogman knows he's hurt bad, as do I. Beaten and bloody Dogman turns and continues to run off in the direction, dropping down onto all fours and hobbling at a high rate of speed. The female turns to the male, making a delicate chirping and clicking. She kneels down by the male. The young ones cross the creek as the two larger family members. TJ moves closer to me. The big male, getting his bearings, stands up off the ground about 10 yards away from me, looks at me, and does this light chirping, clicking towards me, cocking his head like a dog would. It amazes me to see emotions toward me, showing that he knew I was hurt and cared, shows that these are beautiful, intelligent creatures. The whole family standing in front of me and TJ blocking the way from where the Dogman had run. They all let out this ear-ringing roar. The male turns and grunts at the young male. As he turns to leave, he heads over to the fruit and leftover cheeses and sausage and picks it up effortlessly, where it took me carrying it with both arms. TJ and I head back to the cabin. She checks me, wraps my broken ribs, cleans up my wounds. As we get ready to load up the truck in record time, telling her that I couldn't survive without her and the Sasquatch family. We got to the main road. She leans over and tells me that she loved me. We get out of Dodge and the rest up and recuperate from that fight. I wanted people to know, I thought with the bottom couple lines, because people need to know that they are smart, but they are not evil cryptids. They are primal animals that are not just devils. The Bigfoot family, the male has survived, and I went to see them again, and he is okay. He actually walked up a lot closer than he would before the fight. Anyway, thanks, Jeff. So the next couple of times, that's the typed out, what I have typed out from TJ. He must have typed them out using his phone, because and he agreed, he's like, I'm not the best typist, and he's not, but he really tried to share everything with me and you guys. The last couple of times we talked were brief. The cabin, like I said, apparently a hunter in a razor had gone missing up there in New River. He was found dead. The Dogman had killed him. Government came up looking for him, found him. TJ and Bo tried to hide the existence of this Bigfoot family, but the government ended up seeing them. Their house was burnt down mysteriously, and then the Bigfoot disappeared. The family disappeared for a while. TJ had been rebuilding the cabin. The They hadn't seen it. They hadn't seen the Dogman. They believe the Dogman was killed. I think it was shot by hunters, government hunters. And that's what he feared, was the Bigfoot were shot as well. Until like a year later, mind you, this is 5 years ago. So 3 years later, or 3 years from now, he ends up seeing the younger male Bigfoot and follows him because it motions to him too. He goes into this kind of caved area where he sees the male Bigfoot. He sees the young female with this gorgeous blonde hair. And the way he described it was just like, it was this amber color in the sunshine. But he saw the female Bigfoot, the beta family member there with a baby Bigfoot. And he was so happy that the government didn't kill this Bigfoot family. And then TJ and Bo, I think they had another child. Things kind of just, I think he stopped going up there. They moved away because of the children. But it just shows that the government, once they found out, they started that fire intentionally to push Bo and TJ out of that area. They didn't want them there, because then the more people that know about these creatures, the more people that talk about these creatures, that talk about these creatures, that's why we are made to look crazy. People who write, these books, do these TV shows, have YouTube channels, just research, just do everything. We are told that we are crazy. People immediately say, oh, if you're a Bigfooter, just like the UFO community. 10, 15 years ago, anyone that talked about UFOs was an absolute loon. Now it's the government is talking about them. So it's only a matter of time. I used to not think that, but it is only a matter of time before the government admits that at least Bigfoot exists. Claudia Ackley, a good friend of mine she was a good friend of mine. She had died mysteriously, very quickly. I talked to her. I talked to her 2 weeks before she died. And then she died. She was healthy during her lawsuits against California government, just wanting to admit that these things exist. And she just kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And because of Claudia Ackley, I was able to talk with Josh Gates and other people, she's missed. She was a great person. But the government doesn't want us to know about these things. And when we get too close is when they silence us, I think. I really do believe that. The next bit of information, I've shared this, but it goes to show that Tennessee is one of those hot spots, for me at least. I really believe that. So, bear kills child at Chilhowee Mountain. Just a warning for those visiting the Smokies. Be careful around bears. Attack by black bear leaves one dead. 6-year-old killed, 2 others injured in Polk County, Chilhowee Mountain. 1 child was killed. 2 family members were hospitalized after a bear attack Thursday afternoon in Chilhowee Mountain in Polk County, Tennessee, according to Cherokee National Forest spokeswoman Nina Barrow. The attack occurred at 4:20 p.m., according to Polk County dispatcher Gary Verner. 6-year-old girl was killed. 45-year-old mother, 2-year-old son mauled by a bear. They suffered a lot of puncture wounds consistent with a bear attack. The attack took place 1.5 miles from Chilhowee campground. It was off the trail on Benton Falls, where some kids had seen a bear earlier. He said the boy was taken by life force helicopter to TC Thompson Children's Hospital, while the adult mother was taken to Erlanger Hospital by ambulance. About 50 to 60 people assisted in the rescue squad. The little girl who had been missing earlier in the day. They closed the campground. They got everyone out. The search continued through the night. Bear had not been found as of 10:30 p.m. The attack happened. Okay, the bear was never ever found. They never found the bear that did it. It's crazy because the search began. She was found 100 yards away. But that is not true. The truth of the matter is this gentleman who signed a bunch of disclosures and such was either worked as a warden, park ranger, or something else up there. And I have to say it like that because of the NDAs that were signed. There was not 40 to 50 people. There was less than that. A lot less than that. And the little girl was not found 100 yards away. Many reports state that there were 60 to 70 volunteers. However, that is not true. The little girl was found. It took several hours to find her, and she was found in a tree. And just those inconsistencies, I'm not going to go deep into this because I've narrated this a lot, and I don't want to. But just the inconsistencies, and then him being a either warden or ranger, having this job for years, is then told by the government, you can't go, you've got to wait. Each ranger or warden had to wait for another government agent to come in before they could even search for this little girl. Just a huge cover-up. Just like the Tony Aarons, Amber Miller bullshit. And the County, Tennessee sheriffs really dropped the ball on it. To blame and use a man because he had a criminal past, and he wasn't a great citizen, he was a bit of a dirtbag, but how are you going to blame somebody for ripping two people apart? He didn't have dogs. He did at one time, but he didn't. And then you pop him on a weed charge, and then use the media to downplay him, and then to downplay the two other people, Amber Miller and Tony Aarons. They were drug addicts. She was a bad mom, CPS. So that way, Ward and June Cleaver having their coffee in the morning can say, well, you know what, June, they were bad people anyway. Who cares? It was a dog attack. Who cares? They both deserve to die. She was a drug addict, and she was bad to her kid. Her dad ended up, her dad was a sheriff, and he was killed on duty, but she was messed up after her dad was killed. And this and that. And Tony Aarons was just a shithead anyway. He wasn't even from Tennessee. He was from Chicago, and he had meth in his system. And meth was the contributing factor to their death, baby. June, don't worry about it. That's why they lie to us. That's why they feed this bullshit to us like that. So it's not cool. Anyway, Tennessee, in my eyes, is a hot spot. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. Your support is what makes this channel continue to grow and go. And honestly, what gives people a chance to share their experiences, to share their theories, and without judgment. Just to be treated like we all deserve, the respect we all deserve. And that's all because of you guys. Thank you. Stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, pets, family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there, and they are dangerous. Share this information with the people you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. And until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth. And God bless.